Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video I want to talk more about the 85mm 1.8 from Sony and why I really like that lens for portrait photography and overall why I chose it for my a6000. I'm actually currently recording with my a6000 and I'm also using the Sigma 30mm 1.8 from Sigma. And yeah, overall what I like about the lens, about the 85mm 1.8 and also what I dislike. And if you like this video, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Instagram. And don't forget to also press on the notified bell, because then you can also get notified if I upload a new video. And yeah, so definitely do that, please. So yeah, let's get straight into the video. And I actually have the 85mm 1.8 right here. And I got this lens 2 months ago. Always be careful with your lenses, by the way. So I got that lens 2 months ago, and when I looked on the internet and I was looking for a new prime lens, I wanted to go for something which gives me a really creamy background, because when you do a lot of portrait photography, what I notice with a lot of models is that I like lenses where the background is really creamy and blurry. For example, with my Sigma 30mm 1.4, I also get a creamy background and my images are really sharp, but I wanted to go with something which creates even more shallow depth of field. And when I looked on the internet, I was looking for a lens which is also affordable, but not too expensive. For example, I saw a lot of lenses, especially from 85mm, they were over 1,000 euros. And I can't afford at the moment a lens which is like 1,000, 2,000 euros, because yeah, you know life. So when I was looking for a budget lens, I was also seeing the 56mm 1.4 from Sigma. And don't get me wrong, I love the Sigma trio, but I felt like the 30mm 1.4 and the 56mm 1.4 are kind of similar. So I wanted to go with something which is even crazier. So and long term, I want to go full frame. I wish one day that I really want the A7 III one day. So I'm like investing also in lens with the 85mm 1.8, which is actually a full frame lens. So I can use the 85mm 1.8 on my a6000, and also when I get, for example, a full frame lens or camera from Sony, I can also use it for my Sony camera. So that's why I really like the 85mm 1.8. And overall, it also makes the a6000 a 128 lens, because when you put the 85 on the a6000, it changes because of the crop factor. The 85mm 1.8 becomes a 128mm focal length, and that creates even more shallow depth of field, and that's what I really like about the lens. So it gives you a lot of versatility, because you can use it on your a6000 or on other aps-c sensor lenses, for example the a6100, a6300 and so on. But you can also use that lens when you upgrade on your full frame cameras. So that's why I really like the 85mm 1.8. And what I also like about the 85mm 1.8 is that it also creates sharp images. And I also like the autofocus, because the autofocus performs really good, especially on the a6000, because both of them are from Sony. And that's why I really like the 85mm 1.8, because both are very reliable. So when I do photo shoots and when I, for example, get a third-party lens, the trouble with third-party lenses is that they are not as reliable. Like when you go with manual lens, they are really good, don't get me wrong, but you have to focus manually. And on photo shoots, you want a lens which is always accurate and has a good autofocus system. So that's why I chose the 85mm 1.8, because it performs really good and is also reliable. That was so important for me, because the worst thing that can happen is when you work with models and the pictures are not sharp and not in focus. And when you're like a new photographer, it's always good to also go with a lens which is like performs good and with a good autofocus, because then you also have the feeling that you also make good photos, and it's a feeling of accomplishment. Because if you always make pictures which are out of focus, yeah, can be a bit demotivating. So that's why I also like the lens, because it performs really good overall. So, but there are also some things I don't like about the 85mm 1.8, and they are not really too crucial, but there's things I sometimes realize is, for example, when I do video with my A6000, and by the way, the A6000 has no in-body stabilization, and the 85mm 1.8 doesn't have steady shots. So when you are into video, and if you want to have a lens which performs also good for video, the 85mm 1.8 is not the best choice. Well, of course, you can always use a gimbal, but that can be a bit expensive because you have to invest then in another gimbal then. But I realized that the 85mm 1.8 has no steady shot, and it can be a bit worrying because you get also then shaky footage. So that's something you have to bear in mind. So I would say the lens is better for portrait photography because you can always raise your shutter speed, and you won't see like a shaky image then, you know. There are also two other things I wish would be better, and that is that I sometimes wish it would be a 1.4, but the most important thing as a photographer is that you don't really worry about the gear too much. It's more about you behind the camera, so that you as a photographer get better. And if it's 1.4 or 1.8, it doesn't really matter. It's about you as a photographer, that you improve and you learn. To sum this video up, I highly recommend the 85mm 1.8 if you're a beginner and if you are into portrait photography, and if you want to have a lens which is versatile for your aps-c camera and your full frame camera. But if you are into video and if you have more money to spend, if you have like a lot more money to spend, I would personally go for the G Master lens, which is like a 1.4, or even the Sigma 85mm 1.4. But to be fair, I haven't used these two lenses, but I personally think this lens is really good and you can use it for professional work. I used it now for 2 months and I had no problem at all. And all my clients I work with are really happy with the lens and with the performance. It's lightweight. It's really good if you're a beginner and if you are like, you don't want to spend too much money because you already have to pay so much money for your body and your accessories like batteries and SD cards. So this lens is a really good choice, and I highly recommend it if you are really into photography with a lot of shallow depth of field. I love this lens, and actually later I have a photo shoot and I'm going to use the 85mm 1.8 because it's so good and I really like it, and it has become my main lens. So I still use the Sigma 30mm 1.4 for video, for example, right now, but the 85mm 1.8 is a beast and I really like it. So yeah guys, if you like this video and if you want to see more content, more photo shoots, more reviews, more honest opinions, you can definitely message me in the comments down below if you want to see more. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel and of course ring the bell if you want to see more photo shoots and so on, you know. And yeah, if you like this video, you can also give a thumbs up. You can follow me on Instagram, all the links are down below. And thank you so much guys for watching, and remember to stay safe, especially in these times, and always take care of yourself, and see you next time. Bye.